the way the, oh. That book that Cezanne next to the in the space, in the way her head is painted, and the way the forms behind her and around her head are painted. And now we get back to your question about edges and lines. So her head, the experience I have looking at this head is that it's a great word in English, ensconced. It is.
It's like a fixture.
It's like embedded, enmeshed, embedded in the space. It is sunk into the space. It is, you can't get it out of the space. It is it's like stuck in there. You see? And how did he do that? And if we start to look, okay, we've got this dark edge next to her cheek. But then the way the space is here, this tone, this gray purple, is coming actually over her hair.
Right.
This edge is hard, this edge is soft, and so that what is in the background is coming over what's in the foreground, right there. And so we've got an overlap of what's supposed to be behind is overlapping what's in front. Here, let's look at this for a second. Here we have the branch clearly, you all see, in front of the sky. As we move towards the tree, right there, it's no longer clear what's in front of what. Things start to get unclear. And that happens repeatedly in different places. So what ends up happening is what is in front and what is behind start to get ambiguous and mixed. Doing that activates the space. Things come and go. Things aren't set. And that is actually closer to our experience visually in the world. Because our mind is always working, figuring out what's where. Things are coming and going. And as we look around, things are not clearly set and defined where things are. Our brains are negotiating space and form all the time. We just don't want to think about that because it's a little unnerving. Good up, wait. Okay. Now, this is happening again. Same. The head is in space, but it's not clearly defined and set how the head is in space in front, where the head is. That is, it's not like the head is a separate entity, enclosed, and the space is background behind. It isn't so neat. So we have like the under edge of the hat that breaks right there. And what is behind, or the air, all of a sudden leaks into the hat. And it happens again here. Wait a second, where is the hat? It just kind of bled into the background. He just threw in a couple of lines.
Well, we assume
Enough lines so we know where the hat is, but not so much that we're sure completely where the hat is, because the hat's in space. Now we get back to that whole flux thing.
Well, that creates
And
movement.
space and form.
And movement, no?
Coming and going.
So we should sit here now, Jordan.
Yes?
We should sit here and do you in space here.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sounds
but
good.
is
No,
one of
Todd.
the...
Look at the light coming in there, picture
Yeah.
is over your head, and there's a picture over your
Well,
head
yeah,
there.
well, everything.
Jordan?
What ends up starting to happen as we do this exercise through the lens of Cezanne, and we take it on in good faith, even though we're full of doubt, it changes the way our brain is going to work. And we start to be more conscious of this flux and relationship of space and form, and it starts to change the way we see
Can I ask a
in our
question?
daily life.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
You know.
Everything's in back of something.
Yeah.
I have a question. I want to know if he did that to create movement or to create interest in the experience so that your eye kind of like, for lack of a better word, dances around when it's trying to understand the painting? Or is it to mimic the experience that we have when we're looking around us in nature? Or both? I don't know.
All of that. All of that.
That's how I saw it.
This is his experience. And he was trying to find a way to paint that experience, yes?
Mainly, I think what is talking also for me is about truth, of his way of looking.
Yeah, but I think it wasn't a big philosophical truth. He was experiencing something and trying to paint it. Yeah.
When he got older, he obviously started experiencing more because things changed so much.
As he
More
painted,
sensitive.
yes, as he painted this way of looking and thinking and experiencing got stronger and stronger because he was following it. It's just like you keep on doing something and it just gets stronger. Okay, I don't want to talk too much right now. We're going to look at some pictures. I'm going to flip through stuff. You'll look at stuff. Maybe I'll have a few things to say, but mostly we're just going to look at some pictures, then we'll get back to the work, okay? So what I would like you to just notice is the curious quality of the rhythms and forms he comes up with as he's just out in nature or the still life, and he's just finding configurations and rhythms and forms. Watercolor. Watercolor. Both of these are watercolors. And just how curious these rhythms are. So abstract in the way we think of it. You wouldn't know necessarily, that's right. And look at the way he's playing with the rhythms and the space and the form. Can you not see? It's hard to see.
I'll come back later and get closer.
But I don't see the spots that he's doing. I mean, I
No,
see-
different.
this is
Different. You know, when we're starting with those little spots, I mean, we can see that he's starting something like that when we see the starts of the oils and the watercolors. I am sharpening that as I'm turning it into an exercise. He's not working so dogmatically. I wanted to sharpen it as a way for us to enter into a certain kind of play. That's really only part of his play. And then we added part of the play with the line this morning. And then when I'm talking about space and form now, I mean, to start with all of those elements all at once, it's like, what? What do you want? What? So I'm trying to simplify. Let's start this way and deal with the rectangle. Okay. And again, think of how, the ambiguity of space and form, and then how line comes in to clarify, but not fully. That's this. And look at this rhythm. And then clarity. And then open.
And going into the space.
right?
It's smart, right?
And isn't that so often our experience? It's like, oh, you know, when we're looking, right? And how do you capture that? Right? And this mix. Okay. Wow, isn't that incredible? Yeah, and then this big orange here, and somehow just totally works. It's perfect, right? And it's wow. And it's not like okay, orange, 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 orange. You didn't do that.
There's a little orange on the
Stunning.
top tree.
Yeah, right.
Cemetery?
Rocks.
No, quarry is a rock, big rocks, trees.
That's the one we're doing.
How he's treating the wall, these rhythms.
How big are his brush strokes on the wall back there? They're
To think that how he started and where he got to.
When you look at the clock relative to the quarry, you know, you think of the quarry when you see the clock, you know?
Taking that bottle right to the edge.
He's very dividing his space like that.
And then where the wall, the corner of the wall, he breaks it. And so now we have this rhythm doing that. And then boom, he does that one a lot. We have this curve
Yes, and then,
and then a straight.
Yeah.
We're gonna get to the what you see what he does with his wife. The way he's leaving these open areas for the sky, the clouds, I suppose. The way he's bringing the green up into the sky. The way he's bringing green down here. You see, this note, so important. The sense of, when we'll see this in this series, the sense of the density of the space, the palpability, the touchability of the space. Space is very real. Space isn't left over. Space isn't what's just in between the form. He's painting space. So when we have things like the greens up in the sky, we are seeing his trying to come to terms with his experience of the unity of the space. We'll see that as
Jordan, check out the foreground. It totally mimics the big mountain in the back. Look, now this way.
oh yeah, look at that. Cool. Yeah, right.
It's amazing. That's what also helps you to go back.
Yeah, right. And then these notes of trees, this note of the tree here, like a launch.
There's another one.
So here again, this yes, exactly. Yes. Now, what are you doing? Putting green in the sky? How can you do that out of some sense? I mean, where does that come from? That when we look at the image, at the painting, we feel the truth somehow of the green in the sky. Of course, not scientifically. Of course, we know there's no green in the sky. Maybe it's the branches coming through. Maybe, but it seems like what's happening is he is looking at this view that he has looked at for thousands of hours, and he is experiencing the unity of the experience. of the situation, of him and the landscape and the landscape and the world and da-da-da. One of those like full experiences. How do you paint that sense of unity? Well, the sky isn't separate. Somehow I've got to find a form. Somehow I have to paint a form that will give me that sense of wholeness of existence. Well, maybe the green goes in the sky.
In your eyes. In the sky.
Somehow there's a rhythm. But it's not, again, it's not a decision that comes with, well, let's see, what should I do in order to express the unity of existence? It doesn't work like that. It's just like he's just urged. He's just responding. He's just, there's an unknown about it. He doesn't, right? So there is that anxiety, that unknown, and there's a kind of a flailing, there's a kind of like an attempt. He's attempting, yes? Trying to come to terms with. So in that sense, he doesn't experience himself as a master, right? He doesn't have that kind of confidence in terms of he knows he's going to get it. It doesn't work like that. It's more vulnerable than that. Huh?